Hello, everybody, and welcome. We're delighted that you are listening to this because it means that just in a very few days, you're going to begin a travel adventure. So, Paula, let's take these people on a quick overview of some of the details that we need to go over with them prior to departure. We need to tell you that we are pleased to be able to be producing this here in our office, and we have done this as a team, and we are talking about the best of Greece. And quite honestly, ladies and gentlemen, goes very quickly, March 13th through the 22nd. We are Please Go Away Vacations, working in concert with Colette Vacations, the leader of world travel, going to all seven continents. We have a long-standing personal and professional relationship with this company. Your personal hostess on this trip, representing Please Go Away Vacation, but designed to serve you with your travel needs and answer questions and direct solutions to any concerns that you may have, will be Hannah Laura Kitts, and she's here in my office. And Hannah Laura, I would like to ask you a couple of questions, okay?
Okay.
First of all, Hannah Laura is a name that we don't hear too often here in the United States. Where were you born?
I was born in Germany.
All right, and
I grew up in Germany.
all right, and I believe that you have told us repeatedly, as we've become to know each other over the years, that you have always had a love of travel.
Absolutely.
So can you explain?
Well, my parents were avid travelers, and so they took us even when we were small children. We were always on the go, whenever it was possible. Whenever it was possible that we were able to go, we went.
And then you were married and you had children, and I think you told me the other day that you continued to travel within Europe to many different places. Maybe we just decide on the spur of the moment to take off on a weekend and go somewhere. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and then you immigrated here to the United States, and I first became aware of you as a person, and you probably of me, because you were a practicing attorney here in Great Bend, right?
Correct.
And from that professional career, you morphed into a district judgeship. And how many years did you serve as district judge?
Almost 20 years.
All right.
Just short of 20 years.
And during that time, during your professional time, your interest in travel still continued, right?
Very much so.
Then you retired, and I'm recalling that since retirement and before becoming a member of our team, you traveled extensively on our programs. I think the first time you went somewhere was on an African safari with our team, and I know you've been to Vietnam, you've been to Ireland. What are some of the other destinations that you've experienced?
Went to Tuscany, New Orleans. I can't remember where else.
Okay, but you've traveled extensively,
Right.
and then I guess it's just coming up on 3 years ago, you became a member of our team.
Right.
And have been a very important cog since then. I was personally incapacitated at that time. Hannah Laura was in the office. She saw that Paula was drowning in work, and she offered to come in and help. And we accepted, and we said, you have to become a member of our team. And she has since that time, and a very stalwart member of our team. So Hannah Laura, what would you like to say as far as welcoming the people on board to travel with you?
Well, it's going to be a tremendous experience, and I know all of you have traveled with us before, and so I'm looking forward as much as you do to experience this trip to Greece, and I hope we will have a wonderful time.
Hannah Laura, thank you very much. So Paula, let's move right along because I know we need to get into the nuts and bolts of the purpose of this meeting. First of all, we like to point out to you, good friends, on that map that you're going to have an extensive overview of Greece while you are there. You can see from the map, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but it's just a reinforcement that you are not going to just one city or two or spending time in a city. You're going to be getting out to see the countryside, the history, the architecture, what has made Greece over the years a leader in world history. So Paula, I know now we need to get into the guts of the matter, for lack of a better term, and pardon me for speaking in vernacular. But let's turn this over to Paula and let's get into the details that we need to go over for this departure. Paula, it's yours.
All right. Thank you, Larry. First, I will tell you all that documents were received in our office and we turned them around and got them back out to all of you. They were mailed priority, and I'm not sure how long it'll take, but you should have them in, if not today or tomorrow, then for sure by Monday. We do have tracking, so if by chance you don't get those, you might just give us a call or send us an email and we'll track them. Mail's kind of one of those things that you can't depend on it to be always exactly what you're expecting. In the document that you get, you're going to get that nice little black folder again, as Colette always has. And inside of that, you're going to find several things. First of all, there will be this document, vacation document booklet that's going to have your electronic airline tickets. It has a extra hotel listing that you can leave with neighbors, family, or friends that sometimes people just kind of want to follow along where you're at. There's a lot of really good information in here as far as temperatures, conversions, things of that nature. So we do strongly suggest that you read it from cover to cover, maybe even a second time, so that you digest everything in there. You're going to find a daily itinerary of the things that you're going to do each day. You are not going to have any exact times because as things do in travel, it's sometimes necessary to adapt or maybe move things around just a little bit, but you'll have an overall idea of what you'll be doing each day. Also in this folder, you're going to get luggage tags. And there are two kinds in there. There's going to be one that we will show you. Here's the hotel listing that I mentioned. And then here are the luggage tags. So the one on the left is, the purpose of it is that the other side has lines from top to bottom. And that one will be used to put your room number. So each time you move on that itinerary to a different location, Colette's going to have your luggage handled. When you get to the new hotel, they'll write the room so that it can get brought up to you properly. It's kind of a personal nature. Some people put their name and address on there. Some people don't. If their homes are going to be empty, they don't want necessarily an address that's somebody sees it on a piece of luggage and at the airport or something like that. It's indicating that your home's going to be empty for a period of time. So what you do there is entirely up to you, and that would be on both, either or of these luggage tags. The one with the string, you will not put on your luggage until you get to your first hotel. So when you're ready to leave Athens, venture out to the next place, that's when you will attach this one so that it's not torn off, because they're fairly sturdy but not sturdy enough to withstand the airline handling. The one on the right is sturdy, and so you certainly can put that one on to your luggage when you leave home. It would then, I probably would put my address maybe on there. I think the luggage tags have changed just a little bit from those, and I don't think they any longer are able to hide your address. So again, if you've got a neighbor, a business, or another location that if your luggage was lost and returned back, that it would be taken back to your area, but again, not saying your home is empty. These have very distinct usage. And so the left one is for the hotel rooms, and then the right one is for identification. The one on the right from the last picture will be attached like this, and I think you all have done this many times. So you'll make a loop through the tag itself and then use the same format to loop it through the handle and then stick the body of the tag back through the loop and pull it tight. And those usually last and are very secure. In your documents, we have also put our bright green Please Go Away stickers. If you look on the back, there's going to be some cracks where you can actually peel it off, and then you're going to put those around the handle like this. Sometimes people put them on the sides of the luggage or that kind of thing, but that's not the way they're intended to be used. The idea of these is that if we're able to get luggage handlers, we can tell them that we want the luggage with the bright green stickers on the handles. They don't stay on the sides of luggage nearly as well as they do on the handles. Also, you have gotten a sufficient number so that you can put one on your large bag, and then you've got some others if you want to put them on a carry-on or personal items. Sometimes ladies do purses, backpacks, anything that truly, if you were to leave it in a hotel lobby or in a restaurant or something, someone in the group is going to recognize it as with the bright green sticker as belonging to someone in the group. And many times that has kept possessions from being lost. So here's a kind of an overview of all these different tags that are placed onto the luggage. And as I mentioned, the Colette luggage tag is no longer like that one. They've changed them again for this year. So the green sticker, the identification, and the hotel list as well. Notice that there is a padlock on the luggage, and that is okay, that is acceptable, but only if you use a TSA approved lock. And if you look at that lock and on the upper corner, you'll notice there's the little logo of TSA. So if it's not a TSA approved lock, the airline will drill that out so that it's not a working lock. So be sure that, and I have started locking my luggage. I used to didn't when they started, but I now put the TSA lock on mine most of the time. One of the questions we often get is what size luggage can we take? And here is how you determine, and the airlines will allow you to take a 62-inch large bag that you check, and it's the height, the length, and the width one time, and that cannot exceed the 62 inches. If it does, you can probably take it, but you are going to be charged overage because if it's bigger than that, and that can be considerable. And the other thing that you need to be careful is that it not weigh more than 50 pounds because, again, if the weight exceeds that, they're going to charge you additional. I once traveled with a lady who shopped a lot and brought a lot of stuff back, and she was less than 2 pounds, but more than 1 pound over, and it cost her $99 instead of the normal $30. Now, you're flying internationally, and at least as we sit here today, there is not a fee to check your bag, your large bag, unless it's oversized. In addition, onto the plane, you can take a personal item such as a purse or a backpack, as well as a carry-on bag that will go in the overhead. So you're allowed to put one in the overhead, and the second thing needs to be able to fit under the seat in front of you. So here's some different sizes of luggage, and the one on the right is a large checked bag, and that is a 62-inch bag. So that one is the maximum that you could take. Some people are able to travel with their main bag being the middle size, but that also can be a carry-on bag as far as the airline is concerned, because that will go in the overhead. You do need to be careful because that is not an acceptable size for the tour bus, will not go in the overhead. It has been our experience in the past that Colette has done a really good job of, you have to handle it, but you can set it by the bus. When you board the bus, driver will put it underneath. When you get to your next stop, they set it out. You must pick it up and take it into the hotel yourself. So do keep in mind that if you choose that size of bag for your carry-on, you will not have access to it throughout the day, which means then that anything, medications or sunblock or umbrellas, anything of that nature that you might need, you must have with you and not in that carry-on bag. The one on the left is another carry-on bag that would probably still not go in the overhead of a motor coach in Europe, but it would slide under the seat in front of you so that you would be able to have anything that you needed in it with you during the day. There are some, and this particular one does not have, but I know now there are quite a few that are about that size, but they also have rollers and a handle. These can be very heavy if you put very much in it, and then you have to carry it through airports and on and off the buses and things of that nature. So not the size that I prefer, but that's a personal thing for everyone to decide. As I mentioned, rollers on your carry-on bags as well as your other bags anymore is so important. And what we have found, we have had a few groups that have gone now during the pandemic and as we pull out of the pandemic. And what we're finding is that it's not uncommon for locations that we would previously get a sky cap to help with bags, even just going into the airport in Wichita. There are not sky caps at many of the airports anymore. So do keep that in mind and really consider using things that you can roll because there is a chance you may not be able to have assistance. If you've got one of the larger bags that you're using for a carry-on bag, and especially if you're using the 18-inch roller that you put in the overhead, you may want to tuck this in the side pocket or at least down in your thing so that you could take cameras or anything else, medicines and such that you need with you throughout the day. A little purse, coin purse thing that you can tuck down inside with your money, credit card, or valuables tucked down in there for protection is kind of a good idea when you're out doing sightseeing. Another important thing that we have to remember is the 311 rule, and that's been around for quite some time, so you're all probably familiar, but just as a recap, each person is allowed a 1-quart Ziploc bag with 3-ounce containers of liquids or gels. Anything that's larger than 3 ounces must go in your checked bag. You can take it, it just cannot be carried on. And if you remember to do that, you won't have anything taken away from you when you go through TSA and they review your items. So 3-ounce containers, 1-quart bag, one per person, 1 bag per person. So kind of an overview of some of the things that are important. And as I mentioned, if you read your document booklet when it gets there, I'm not going to read clear through there. I'm going to highlight some of the really important things. So first of all, probably on this picture, the very most important thing is your passport. Without that passport, you will not make it out of your departure city. That is very important. Be sure that when you grab it, if you keep it in a safe or in a filing cabinet or wherever you store yours, open it and look at it and be sure that you've got your current one that is valid. And I say that because we had some people who were going to Europe. The husband grabbed their passports. They got to the airport. They got checked in, sat down to wait for the plane. All of a sudden, the airline called the lady back over and said, "We just realized that the passport you provided has expired. It is no longer valid." Well, being in a hurry to grab their things and get to the airport, he had not taken time to look, and they were storing their old passports in the same place in their personal safe as the new ones. So please look at them before you leave to be sure you've got those. Not pictured, but equally important to show how times are changing is your official vaccination card issued by the CDC. And be sure that you take the original and be sure that it shows not only the original 2 vaccinations, but the booster vaccination. We had contacted all of you, and I was very happy to find out that every single person in our group indicated to us that they had been boosted, and that had to be at least 14 days ago, and they all of you met that requirement, so that's excellent. And so be sure and bring those cards with you. The next probably important thing, or equally as important, is let's talk a little bit about money. When you're traveling, it's very simple, and actually probably one of the better ways to pay for things that you purchase is to use a credit card. You should probably check with your credit card and see if they have a fee for foreign transactions, because some cards do and some don't. And so, assuming that yours does not, or it's not a huge amount and you choose to use it, a Visa is the very most widely accepted credit card. Second would be a MasterCard. And then third and fourth would be American Express and Discover. American Express and Discover are so seldom accepted that probably I would not even bother to take either of those cards, because you're probably not going to be able to use either one. You do want to contact your credit card company or go online and provide them with your travel plans, and they will notate that so that if there's charges that you're trying to use, they are accepted. Many credit cards, if you are out of the country, or some of them even out of your normal area, will decline those charges. So do be sure that you know what your card requires. In Europe, sometimes they will also, at the different merchants when you go to use it, will ask for a PIN number. So if you don't know your PIN, you need to be sure that you do know that or have that with you just in case that would be asked for. I don't think they're doing that quite as much nowadays with the chip, but it's a good thing to have you with just in case. Another idea that you should think about is you don't want all of your money in one basket, so to speak. So, if you're planning to use a credit card, I wouldn't take a whole wallet of them. You might want to have a couple different Visa cards so that if for some reason one was stolen or lost or not accepted, you would have a backup. Likewise, I would also have some cash. You can also get euros, which is what you're going to need in Greece. You could get that at an ATM machine usually. I'm not quite sure how close that would be. The tour manager often can recommend that there's someplace very close. Quite honestly, what we here in the office do is when we get to our first or last stop for the plane, which in this case is Minneapolis for those of you departing from Wichita, you're going to go to Minneapolis and change planes. So you're going to be going to the international departure terminal, and that's where we would exchange money and get some euros. So there will be times that there will be perhaps a minimum charge in order to use a credit card because of the fees that they get charged. So some of the restaurants and places you'll find in Europe do have a minimum. And if it, whatever it is, they're going to charge you that even if you're using a small part of that. So it helps to have some cash. There may be some times you want to buy something from a street vendor maybe who isn't set up to take one, or in the event that something occurs that your card is not accepted. So have a little bit of everything so that you're well taken care of. Temperatures are always changing, and you're going to be going, as Larry showed you on the map earlier, you're going to go to a lot of different areas. In different areas, you're going to normally encounter different changes, how close you are to the ocean and things like that can make the temperatures. You really don't have any high elevations that you're going to be going to, so you don't have that kind of a temperature change as if you were going into mountains. But it's really good to dress in layers when you start out in the morning and it's a little cooler and it warms up in the daytime. You can remove or add to traveling on motor coaches from place to place. As you guys will probably remember, um, not everybody has the same body thermostat, so um, you may be a little cool and want a little jacket or a sweater or something to put around you, especially if you're sitting by the window. It can sometimes be cool. Gratuities are another thing that are handled in your booklet, but just to kind of review some of that, um, there are suggestions for gratuities. Um, First of all, you are going to have 5 local guides at different times on this tour. Local guides add a lot of insight into the things that you're seeing because they live there. They know lots of interesting things and have history and all kinds of information that they can add that your tour manager, while they know much of the stuff, just don't have the same flair when it's about compared to a local that's excited about their city. So they're going to give you this information. So for a local guide that you have, kind of depending on if you have them all day, if you have them for a half a day, but the general rule of thumb is $2 to $3 per person in U.S. money or equivalent in euro. Your tour manager that's going to help you and give you ideas of places to eat when you're on your own for meals or extra things to see when you have some free time. Um, they're going to be there just really being helpful and giving you so much information. Um, the suggestion there is from $5 to $8 per person per day in US or the equivalent in euro. You're also going to have a professional bus driver that's going to get you from Athens and make the loop through Greece and back to Athens. And the recommendation there is going to be $3 to $5 per person per day US or equivalent in euro. And just as a thought, again, when I'm exchanging money, for example, in Minneapolis, I'm going to kind of have an idea of how much money I need or what I want to have as a backup. And I do not plan necessarily to tip my tour manager or my bus driver in euros or whatever country I'm in. When I'm finished at the end, because the customary time to tip the tour manager and the bus driver is at the farewell dinner, which is normally the last night. If I have leftover euros, I will use that to give, and I usually do the bus driver first because they usually live there. And that's how I get rid of my euros. If by chance I had overguessed and have way too many euros, then I would also give my tour manager euros. If I needed to with one or the other, I would balance out the difference to make up whatever I was going to give them. I would balance it out. I don't pay to convert the money to euros to give to them. Many of the tour managers are in the United States, and so truly, if you were to give them euros, they're probably, unless they're going to spend back and forth trips quite a few times over, they're probably going to bring that money back home and convert it back anyway. When you're trying to decide what kind of funds to take with you, there is a guide in your booklet that you will see, but I'll just point this out that for lunches that you buy, and normally lunches are not included, so this is something that for the most part you buy yourself. Obviously, depending on what you eat, you can kind of plan on US $15 to $20 a person for lunches. For the dinners that are not included, 25 to 35 for those dinners. You will not need to worry about giving gratuities to, first of all, your PGA hostess. She does not expect a gratuity, nor will she accept a gratuity. She's going to help you, tell you everything that she can, any way that she can be of assistance, but she's doing that not with the idea of getting a bigger gratuity. She's doing that, first of all, because she is a really nice lady. And second of all, is she really wants you to enjoy and come back many times and tell your friends to also come here to travel. Anytime there is an included meal that's provided, which many of your dinners are, you do not need to offer a gratuity for an included meal. Likewise, for luggage handling, that is included for one large bag per person, so you don't need to worry about giving luggage handlers gratuities at the hotels either. And again, this is in your booklet, so you can reread and get some specifics on other suggestions as far as room staff, housekeepers, that kind of thing that you may want to give a gratuity to. Temperatures, electrical appliances that you may be using. You are going to need to have, in this little box you see kind of right above that, the left one in the back of that is probably the one that you're going to need for grease. It's almost always the 3 prongs. You will need to adapt anything that you go to plug into an outlet. Sometimes, and very often nowadays, many things that you're going to plug in are dual current, meaning they will work for 110 or 220. But the plugs are going to be different, so you will have to adapt them in order to use them. It's important that you know what your appliance is, if it's dual, and a lot of times it will say that on them. If it's not, then you will need to use the little cubic that you see on the right side of that box. You would need to first convert the electrical current from the 220 that grease uses to the 110, and then you would need to also adapt it. So you would plug your appliance into the converter, which would then go into the adapter and into the wall. And I think you guys have all probably are very familiar with that. So I think that covers, you don't need any dressy clothes that I read about in the book. You certainly don't want to take all the luggage that that man is taking. He looks like a tourist, and that's way too much luggage. So now let's talk about the positive travel protocols. All these things are designed to assure safe and successful travels and are ever changing. They seem to be, it's been really a wonderful last couple of weeks, because on a daily basis, we are hearing updates from countries and all kinds of things that are very positive happenings. One of the things that you're going to need to do is to do a passenger locator form. Now, as we had advised in talking to you, the requirement to get not vaccinated, you must be vaccinated fully with 3 shots. You no longer have to be tested prior to arriving in Greece, which to me is absolutely wonderful and a very positive thing that's happening. So you will still have to do the passenger locator form. And in the last memo, we sent you the website, which is the GovGR. And my inquiring mind is, well, what in the world are they going to ask people when we get in there? And I tried to get in, but I can't get in because I'm not going to Greece. So we were able to get some samples here to kind of run through and give you an idea so you can have everything ready when you sit down. Again, a good source of much of this information is going to be in your travel document book. Now, obviously, the first thing it's going to ask is going to be your name, a phone number, mobile number, passport number. So just kind of go down all of that kind of information. Transportation information, your airline, your flight number, date of arrival, point of entry. If you look in the front part of the booklet when you get it, you will find your electronic airline ticket. So you will want to put exactly what's on there. So your airline and everything. And date of arrival into Greece is going to be, you fly on the 13th, but you arrive on the 14th, you go into Athens. Your permanent address, that would be your home address. Your temporary address, in the country that you're going to be in, you're not going to have a temporary address here. I think we're going to come to a place that's going to want to know your address there. And then it's going to ask for an email, and you have to create a password and confirm that password. And when all this is done and you're flying to Greece, when you get there, you're going to have an email with a QR code that you will then show at the airport. So you'll have to create the account. One of the first things you're going to do is you have to read the protocols. And I didn't copy except the information. So as you go through, you need to read everything. And then you have to say that you have read. And you can even click on protocol to read. You have to agree to fill everything out completely and only submit one PLF, which is the abbreviation for passenger locator form, per family. So husbands and wives, you'll be able to do this together. You'll select that you're going to Greece. You're going, obviously, by aircraft. And then it's going to, again, ask you for your flight information. Then they're going to ask you a few health questions. Now, I'm going to assume that this form is going to change a little bit by the time you do that, because this one is still indicating that you have to have the negative PCR test or be recovered. I beg your pardon. You're going to complete vaccination. I read too fast. So you're going to mark complete vaccination because you no longer need the other. It's going to ask you about your vaccination. You're going to get all that information as to the last dose and everything off of your card, off of the card that you were given. And then they're going, the person who had provided this said they were asked some personal details. So you're going to give the temporary address is the places you'll be staying during your time of travel. So you're going to, when it asks the temporary, here you're going to give them the information from your hotel. So you'll be in Greece and provide like Athens, and then you can do hotel name and provide that information from either the extra insert or the one in your booklet. Provide someone as a emergency contact. This is normally recommended that it's someone who is not traveling with you. And then this is where if there's more than one of you traveling, you will check to add another family member and then do the second person. And then you should get a thank you for completing it. You can review the submitted one if you click there where indicated. And and then read the information. But it really, nothing that's very difficult, all the information you should have. If you have any questions, you can give us a call and we'll do our best to try to help you. If you have any questions, be sure and call us. I do have a couple of more things that I was going to mention. First of all, there is a Colette app, and I believe that the instructions, if you have not done that previously, the Colette app information is going to be in your document booklet when it comes. It's a really, really useful app. Your tour will come up, and you will need to have your booking number, which is going to be on the front of your booklet. And you can go in, and your flights are going to be in there. It's a handy way to have hotel information at your fingertips. You can click and you can find information as to near, like wherever you're at, like if you're standing on a street corner in Athens, you can get, and it'll tell you things that are nearby to eat, places nearby to visit, the temperature, what the temperature is tomorrow. It's just got a wealth of useful information. You can also use it to make some notes. There's some pages where you can go in and make notes. You can upload pictures and all kinds of things to keep you, if there's schedule changes, we'll do our best to get that to you, as will your tour manager. But I had a flight canceled and knew it from my app last summer before the airline or the tour manager was ever notified. So it's really good. The second thing is, in your document booklets, I did forget to mention that there is a health assessment that you should complete either before you leave home or complete on your flight, because there certainly will be sufficient time to do that. And you will need to provide that completed and signed to your tour manager when they meet you, when you get to Athens at the airport, and they meet you when you get off your flight. And again, it's just basically inquiring if you have knowingly been exposed to COVID, if you've been quarantined or isolated within 14 days, if you've been to any other countries, and then it runs through the main symptoms of COVID. Have you had, fever, cough, headache, sore throat, loss of taste, smell, all that kind of stuff. And then it says, have you received a full dosage of the COVID-19 vaccine, which again is the 2 shots unless you did Johnson & Johnson, but it does include the booster. And then you have to have yes on everything if you want to remain on the tour. Sign it, and it asks for your booking number, which again, you get that off the front of your document booklet and have that ready to provide. So you will have to be tested on the return, and that was in a memo recently that indicated Colette has been able to make arrangements in Athens to be professionally tested, for lack of a better word. They will provide transportation to this location to be tested. However, the cost is to your own account, and they're estimating that will be anywhere from $50 to $100. You also can use, if you've already bought the accepted, which that was listed, because not all do-it-yourself tests are accepted. It's my understanding that the free ones you got from the government are not acceptable for this. But if you've got the ones that are listed on your last memo, you could even do that. I do want to caution you. I've been reading quite a bit lately in agent trade journals about agents who have traveled or had clients that traveled during the time that you pretty much had to do the do-it-yourself test to return. And you have to follow the directions, so you cannot open it until you're ready to use it and you're on what I would call similar to a FaceTime situation. When you open it, some of them are missing the liquid, which is required to actually provide the test. They're faulty, in other words. So without the liquid, that test is not valid. It won't give a reading. The other thing that I've read is that because from start to finish during the testing process, you must be on this video call, and the test kit from the time you open it, and it must be, and they watch you swab your nose, and they watch as you test it. They have to see all of that. In the event that for some reason, which this has happened sometimes, many times, you drop the internet and lose the contact on that video call, that test is not valid. So, I'm not telling you it happens every time, but just be aware that this has happened. So if you're going to do the test kit yourself, be sure that you do take an extra kit or two so that you're able to go back and redo one if that's needed. So thank you very much for going away and for your time today. You can always email us at answers@travelpleasegoaway.com. You can call us Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 at 1-800-362-9347.